What is up, YouTube? Today, I wanted to give my review on Snowfall Season 2 since the season is done. I really enjoy Snowfall. Snowfall is about a multitude of different stories, mostly set around the 80s of how the crack epidemic started in LA, and it's just going through the story of kind of that cocaine cowboys 80s feel, that Ronald Reagan era, how crack cocaine was introduced in the hood and stuff like that. So I really like Snowfall. It has a unique perspective from three different sides, which is one, Franklin Saint, who I feel like still in the show. I don't know the actor's name. I could research it right now. I know he's a British cat, which that's really cool that, he's just like Idris Elba in the making. I really enjoy that because he had to go through a voice. When I first heard him on Jimmy Kimmel, and I was like, damn, you're British, and I was like, that's what's up, And he goes through the story of how he changed his voice. So shout out to Dub C, was his voice coach to make him sound more LA. I really enjoy that. Also, it takes another perspective from a Mexican side, which is from, what's her name? Lucia. And how Lucia wants the power of a cartel from her family because, she's the daughter of a dying padrino, and how her uncle is pretty much taking over the business, and her cousin, which is Diego, is trying to take the company away from her, which is, trying to be their own cartel. And it just goes into a multitude of how she's trying to build up her cartel and she ends up in trouble. All their stories intertwined, which is it intertwined in season 1, but now, season 2 is showing how they built their business, and then, they got into a lot of trouble towards the end, which led to Franklin getting incarcerated for killing Kevin. Now, this story, I really like Snowfall because, as a young black man, it hits home for me to see, his story of becoming a crack kingpin in his hood of South Central LA. A young kid with a promising future to go to college. And, he was just caught up in the street life, and how he was so enticed by making money because he felt like, this is how I see it, this is how it's going to go. So he just fell in love with that. I want my own business. I seen my mama struggle. That's what getting an education and getting a job gets me, where I can be out here making my own business. So I really respect that entrepreneurship from him, but he's just going about it wrong. But I mean, it's just, you seeing the story unfold. Then you have Reed, who's an undercover CIA agent who is the so-called plug for Lucia and Franklin. They think of him as just a drug dealer with a lot of influence, which he do have a lot of influence, but he is an undercover CIA agent. So it goes through his story of how he's going back and forth to the Cali cartel, flying the drugs over the border because, he's under a special assignment under the Ronald Reagan era, which everybody knows that, the drugs was, it's just that back and forth between, well, we buy drugs from communists and Nicaragua, and in exchange for guns to help them fight their war to get out of their dictatorship. And it was beautifully told how, Reed told the DEA agent, which is, I forgot her name, DEA agent in the bar, the whole overall goal is to buy drugs to, push the minorities to keep them on their backs, and that's basically how life is. That's what happened in the 80s, and unfortunately, that's what happened to a lot of minorities getting locked up behind all these drug wars and just behind drugs. So I just like to look at that, everyone's perspective of the crack epidemic in the 80s. But I felt like this is so real. Like I said, as a young black man, you just get to maneuver between different narratives, kind of like a Grand Theft Auto. And then even the moniker for Snowfall is like in a Grand Theft Auto feel. So I really like that. If you ever seen how Grand Theft Auto, their artwork for Snowfall has that Grand Theft Auto feel. So that's what makes me feel like it's being told from that Grand Theft Auto 5. If you ever played Grand Theft Auto 5, how it has a narrative between Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. So they had the same thing with Franklin, Lucia, and Reed. It's just three different narratives on the 80s crack epidemic. So I really enjoy it. One thing that really took hold of me was the last episode when Franklin got locked up and he's going through the process of going to prison. going to county jail. And this is set in the 1980s. So when you go see his process, I'm just envisioning myself walking through. That's what it looks like to go through a county jail for a young black man in the 1980s who ain't never been to jail, never been convicted of a crime, and you go into a hostile territory and it's just all bad for you. And then the choices that you made on the outside end up being your repercussions inside of jail. So that was something that I really was like on edge about. It had me nervous, palm sweating. So John Singleton did a very good job with this. I know a lot of people that I know is on board with watching Snowfall. I think Snowfall is one of the premier shows to watch. They got renewed for season 3, so I really can't wait for that. I can't wait to see how their story is going to unfold after all this trouble that they got into with Lucia being a rat, how she got, let out. El Oso got killed, by the gang member that Kevin was trying to kill. So I want to see the story unfold from what Franklin's going to do as far as pushing the business forward after he get out of jail, and knowing that, Reed is like, well, yeah, you are just a regular street drug dealer. It's a means to an end. And then it's at the end of it, it's just showing how Franklin is tying the pieces together to understand that Reed is a CIA agent. And he's understanding the whole epidemic between, how the Nicaraguans is buying guns in exchange for drugs. So once he understands that full epidemic, it's going to look really, really good, I think, in the next season. I want to see the fate of Lucia, to see that if she's going to return to her business, is how she's going to build her empire. Is she still going to build it, or she's going to be on the run? So that's something seen to be determined, because I know that she feels like the DEA agents is still on her trail. So, and also the gangs, that she did betray as far as her business. So I know she's definitely got a lot of stuff in store, and she's hot-headed. So you can tell that she's going to make some mistakes, but I feel like it's going to better her for the better. So yeah, I'm digging Snowfall. I am. Snowfall is something that's, you heard the story, but it's just being told from a nice perspective, and it's on FX. No holds barred. That means the language. It's being as real as you can get. It's being as real as you can get as far as what will go on in Los Angeles in the 1980s. This is my review. Post a comment, like, share, subscribe. It's your boy D. Peace.